Salutations! Welcome to another episode of Perfect and Elegant Achievement Hunting. Izayoi Sakuya, the perfect and elegant maid of the Scarlet Devil Mansion and one of the most popular Touhou characters. What's not to love about her? She's my second favorite Touhou next to Mei Ling, of course. She's the coolest and most badass Touhou character to me. A literal walking Jojo meme, by the way. I'm hyped for Steel Ball Run. Every Touhou cultist knows her, even non-Touhou fans actually. From being the grandmother of all Fumos, being one of the Touhous to have the most doujinshis, plenty of fan works, including fan games aplenty. Works that include, but not exclusive to, I Am Sakuya, a boomer shooter, Scarlet Curiosity, and Komaju Densetsu, which I covered in a previous video. You guys should check it out. It's a pretty good video. Then finally, her best fan game of all time that made waves in the Touhou fan game community. It's the most action-oriented game. Working Sakuya. It's a pretty family-friendly game, you know. There's a lot of action if you catch my drift. I'm kidding. But I recommend it if you need a solid material for your nights. Anyways, I'm talking about Luna Nights, a beloved Touhou Metroid fan game. When you think of Sakuya-focused fan games, most people will think of Luna Nights. Compared to Komajo Densetsu, which is very Castlevania-like, Luna Nights is more akin to Metroid, where it's a bit more fast-paced, more focused on precise bullet shooting. Well, in this case, knives. Lots of knives. And what better way to show my love for this game than making a 100% video about it. The story starts with, as you can guess, Remila being bored, so she made a fake Gensokyo and Isekai Sakuya in it to play with her, much to Sakuya's dismay. Of course, ever the loyal maid, she decides to play along with her vampire mistress. Thus, I begin another Touhou adventure. With the first achievement I'm getting is literally starting the game. Welcome to Luna Nights. The first NPC I meet is Fake Akyu. She is one of the two constructions of the fake Gensokyo. She manages the save stations, which are phone booths to call her, to which Sakuya doesn't know of. It's weird to me since my headcanon is that she's from at least a time period where phones were a thing, you know? Maybe like Victorian London or something. Nonetheless, I start in stage 1. Like in classic Metroid fashion, Sakuya starts off weak, nerf, even. She doesn't have her time stop for now, and the MP gauge limits how much knives she can throw. So you can recover MP by just grazing or picking up knives that are like stuck to the wall. At the start, you can only slow down time and throw knives for now. So basic Metroid stuff. I familiarized myself with the game mechanics while working towards the stage. The mechanics in this game are pretty fun, and early on the MP gauge teaches me how to not go gung-ho with the knife throwing. At least for now. Later on, I will learn how to ease grazing to recover my MP very fast. Stage 1 houses some classic yokai enemies like spirits, fishes, helmet kappas, nekamatas, and bake daneki. You know, the yokai that has big balls. Anyways, after making my way through them and getting a few level ups, I meet up with the second imposter in this fake world. She acts as the shopkeeper of the game by calling her with a shop card. I get these gems from slaying enemies to sell to her for money. What are you buying? Also, holding these gems gives a slight stat boost for just holding them too, which makes players careful on selling them or not. At their first meeting, she gives a watch that helps Sakuya stop time for free. Stopping time has a different gauge from MP. Every action I do consumes time gauge instead of MP. They also recover a lot faster than MP, so you can just like pretty much spam stop time to dodge attacks or, you know, beat the shit out of your enemies. Right next to the shop, there's the first vending machine, which fully recovers Sakuya's MP and HP. There's also these garbage bins to throw away cans after interacting with the vending machine. There's an achievement for dunking all of the garbage bins in every level, so time to get balling. After that, now with Zawarudo, I can now progress through the game by being able to walk through frozen water. After a bit of fun killing enemies in Jojo style, I got my second achievement of defeating 100 enemies named I'll never finish cleaning at this rate, which is a cute reference to her first quote in the embodiment of the Scarlet Devil. I proceed to the underground, in which I totally didn't get lost for an hour. I get my first power up in the game, which is the knife slide, which lets me get through crevices. Also gives me this fancy stilettos whenever I slide. These knife stilettos. With this, I can get secret collectibles, one of them being the first skill, the stun knife, which rains down lightning when hitting an enemy. After collecting all of these, I arrive at the first boss, the wife herself, Hong Mei-ling. Oh my god, Mei-ling! Unlike Aki and Nitori, she is the real thing, ordered by Remilia to, gatekeep Sakuya. Her fight is pretty simple, obviously, since she is a stage 1 boss. She pretty much spams Hadoukens and doing flying kick that's faster than light. So, in fighting game terms, she's a goddamn zoner. The bosses in this game pull off their strongest attacks at a certain HP threshold. For Mei-ling, she does her best Shinku Hadouken impression, and I can tell you, it hurts like hell. But the actual toughest part of this boss is that she can actually block attacks, so I need to stop time and put knives in her face. Like, the meme. But easily, I earned my third achievement, Colorful Rainbow Gatekeeper, from beating her. After saying farewell to my beloved, I get to stage through the entrance of the fake Scarlet Devil Mansion. I face up new enemies here, mainly these adorable fairy maids that are pocket size. They also come in a variety: Battering Ram Fairy Maid, Psychic Fairy Maid, and lastly, Loose Cannon Fairy Maid. I guess you can say they are made in heaven. The stage also introduced these red fart clouds, which if you walk through them, drains the time gauge and disables time stop for a while. After progressing for a while and dying to a falling chandelier once, god damn it, man, I get the double jump power up. Backtracking a bit, I get the auto aim skill, which throws knives that home in on enemies, which are great for these disappearing spirits. I then go back to progressing a bit again. The game introduced the purple glow. Things that have this glow are basically immune to time stopping. Then after that, I get the third skill, one of my favorites, a goddamn chainsaw. Here's now the Chainsaw Woman. They're like the axe of Castlevania games, where it's thrown upward and sticks to a target, damaging them. I really love this skill. Other than the fact it's a pretty awesome weapon, it's the best weapon for flying bosses, which are 90% of the goddamn bosses. They're a real bitch to hit with the normal knives, since they'll float around unless I stop time and put knives directly to their coochie. Speaking of flying bosses, for the second boss of the game, we have the black and white magician herself, Marissa Kirisame. Apparently, she's a special guest that Remilio let in. Of course, Marissa wouldn't pass up this opportunity for some good fun. She fights with releasing red fart clouds, dropping light pillars, attacking with a spinning rainbow, and committing vehicular battery. For her last stand move is, of course, the Master Spark. Like every other Master Spark versions, it's colorful, cute, and very deadly. Although this one rotates in a spiral pattern so the player can know when and where to avoid it. After a few tries, I beat her down and got my fourth achievement, Ordinary Magician. Now moving to the third stage, we have Voile. Voile? Voile? I still don't know how to pronounce this name. Anyways, we're at the Magic Library. Well, fake Magic Library, which is by far my favorite stage to me. I don't think the game is praised enough for how accurate and beautiful it portrays the Scarlet Devil Mansion, even though it's like fake one. It's probably even my favorite portrayal of it in Touhou fan games. Moving on to the new enemies, here are this bubble blowing fairy, this chupacabra that moves like the Flash, and toy soldiers that attacks with musical notes that releases red fart clouds. At this point in the game tests the player's knowledge, time-stopping knowledge, by adding this green aura, which is like the opposite of purple aura, where it only moves when time is stopped. Also at this stage, some enemy mobs now also have these auras, so this is where the real fun begins. In this stage, I grab a new power-up that lets me use knives stopped in time as platforms. Now I can really roleplay as Dio Brando. Useless, useless, useless. Then I got my favorite skill, Thousand Daggers, which, as the name implies, throws a lot of knives. So with this skill and time stop, you can pull off the teleports behind you, you're already dead kind of thing. Really gives that catharsis, putting 1,000 knives to an enemy's face and stop time. Afterwards, after a couple of platforming fun and a phone call from Akyu, starts the third boss fight, the living library herself, Patchouli. Looking cute as a button here, reading with glasses in a beautiful stage. But unlike her cute demeanor, her boss fight is pretty brutal. She's on her good day, and no, I don't mean here period. What I mean is she's in full power mode and she has all of her weekly elements at her beck and call. She rotates between attacks that corresponds to said weekly elements. I'll probably get some of these wrong, so correct me in the comments or something. Starting with Moon Monday where she rains down silver arrows, Fire Tuesday where she drops huge fireballs that veers off horizontally, Water Wednesday where she creates a waterfall possibly to wall me off in time stop and fires water balls at me, Wood Thursday she launches razor leaves that has a green aura on them, Metal Friday she sends a homing dragon made of metal I presume at the Meido, Earth Saturday she drops down balls of energy that trembles the earth, and finally Sun Sunday where she fires off Mario fireballs in a pattern that's reminiscent of her Danmaku in EOSD. In her last stand, she increased the firepower of all these attacks by doubling her books. The power of reading, baby. Man, I love this nerd. I ended this fun fight after a couple of tries and got my 5th achievement, an immovable great library. I then arrived at the beautiful 4th stage, the upper levels of the mansion, complete with clockwork aesthetics. And you know my love for clockwork aesthetics by now. This stage heavily reminds me of Komajo Remilia. Probably inspired by them, might have to quote me on that, especially when it has this nice moon backdrop. For the new enemy roundup, this time we have Beefy Gargoyle with Stinky Breath, Wabbit that freezes time, Shuriken throwing clowns, and Ghosts. And lastly, we have the most annoying enemy of all, an immortal jellyfish. You know the immortal snail that chases you no matter what, and once it touches you, you die? These little shits are like that, except it's jellyfishes. While they don't do much aside from being immortal, they're a real nuisance, especially when I'm trying to platform. These would regenerate even in freeze time. So before I pop a blood vessel from just thinking about them, I get to the next power-up, Screw Knife, where it lets me destroy boxes. Simple as that. It also makes Sakuya's knife throwing look like she's breaking the sound barrier, which is real nice aesthetic. But with a new power-up, you know what that means. Backtracking, baby. Woo! I love backtracking for stuff, not really. After some boring backtracking, I go back on track and face the 4th boss. Sakuya's boss, the vampire lord herself, Remilia, looking charismatic as usual. Now it's time for Sakuya to file a complaint along with a lot of knives. I fight her on top of the clock tower where she spreads her wings. She's the second boss that can actually block my attacks, hence why the chainsaw works wonders for this fight. As per her attack, she throws unstoppable purple Gungnir's, summoning bats to jump Sakuya, dropping balls on me. Some of them are yellow so they can get reversed. Then a barrage of knives and balls, which are great for chasing some greys, by the way. And for her last stand, she traps me in an escapable laser prison that hits like a truck. And then she has another last stand spell after complimenting her perfect maid and sweet dialogue between them, of course. This one is basically her spamming lasers even more than last time, where the only way to survive the spell is either have enough HP to tank through it or kill Remilia before it even starts. To which I did the former, surviving by just the skin of my teeth. After beating her, I finally cleared the game. With that, Sakuya and gang returns home. Just kidding, it seems that some perpetrator has taken over the fake world, so we have one more stage and boss to go through. Finally, we arrive at the last stage with a new lineup of enemies, being cute baby dragons, punk status gargoyles, heavy machine gun fairies, no horny sprayer fairies, and the stone mask guy from that one Nickelodeon show. Like all final stages, it will throw everything at you. Platforming challenges while spamming enemies that are hard to get rid of. Once you fall to the spikes, it's basically a death sentence. Fuck. This is really bad position, man. Luckily, I pick up a new attack for this scenario, Lost Holy Sword. This thing basically tracks down enemies and deals constant damage to them, which is great for enemies that are really hard to get to or chasing the hell out of them. While going through the stage, I finally dunked the last recycling bin, to which I got my 7th achievement. Leave it as we found it. Remember to recycle your plastics, everyone. Finally arriving at the last stage and meet the mastermind, the river goblin herself, Nitori, in her metal slug mech, ready to get Dan to business. Apparently the reason Nitori took over the fake world is the gems that Sakuya was collecting. So a boss fight ensures with Nitori hopping on her trusty green metal gear. So an aesthetic I love about this boss fight is in the background there are screens showing Nitori's face where her expression changes if she's attacking or being attacked. Simple things, you know. Her boss fight starts off with a heavy machine gun. Afterwards, she tries to commit DUI and put mines in the ground. Then launches heat-seeking rockets rocket launchers. Next is spamming purple laser guns, which is the freest race of all time. Finally summoning satellite drones that fire green lasers. Then for her last stand, she goes to the background to rain down heavy machine gun on me. This is the easiest last stand spell because I can just stop time and go past where she's aiming at. Or, you know, stand behind this stone pillar to take cover. Lamau. Finally, I took down the final boss, got my 8th achievement, and beat the game. Hold on a minute, those colorful spiky wings look familiar. Flandre? Yep, it was the Emoto-sama herself in a skin suit. Apparently the gems Sakuya is collecting and sold to her was magic crystals that made the fake world they are on. It's magic crystals that Flandre painstakingly collected, but Remelius told him while Flandre was asleep. Flandre in this world is one of those healing crystal scammers. So Flandre was throwing a tantrum because she was left out of the fun. So she is punishing Remelia and Sakuya for leaving her out, even though Sakuya was practically kidnapped to this world out of her own volition. Although Flandre is willing to make an exception to forgive Sakuya if she beats her in a fight. To which the actual final boss finally starts with Flan absorbing all of the gems I sold, making her wings gigantic. I did some researching. Apparently the size of her wings depends on how many gems you sold to her as Nitori. I don't think it actually affects the boss fight, but it's still a cool attention to detail from the developers. Now we finally start off the fight with Flan raining down exploding fireballs. They give a generous amount of grace points too, by the way. Next, she summons these circle things that shoots beams. This one is easy to deal with since you can just destroy the circles. Then she tries stabbing me with her pointy wings. After that, she then pulls out 4 of a kind to rain down the same fireballs. It's pretty easy to know which one is the real one. In Frozen Time, she would have a raised number on her head. Next is her summoning these green tiles, which I think is basically her spell card, Kagome Kagome. These things can be a real nuisance since they come in a large amount and can only move in time stop, and even then they move rather slow. So once she resets her attack rotation, these tiles stick around and I have to deal with her attacks and the green tiles. Finally, we arrive at her last stand where she goes crazy mode, which is typical Flan, am I right? And the music changed from UN Owen to Night of Nights. I'm a huge sucker for music transitions to indicate a big turnaround in a fight. Even if the first thing just happened, I got slapped down and died. Anyways, for her last 2 attacks, she fires a big laser downwards and sweeps the whole area. This time it doesn't go in a spiral pattern like Marissa, so if you get cornered like a rat, say your prayers. When she's sweeping across the room, it leaves these destructible cheese balls which are homing. Then her last move is firing a rainbow laser in each of her crystal wings, sweeping across the area. This was a pretty solid final boss, made me give it a few tries. Only annoying part is I have to start all over from the Nitori fight every time I die to Flan. Other than that, I finally beat the base game for reals. The game ends with Flandre being sad she got left behind and have her gems stolen, with Remelia coming down and apologizing to her sister and promised to work with her on the next fake world playtime, and inviting Sakuya, unwillingly of course. Never a dull moment for this perfect and elegant Mayday. Then we get a beautiful ending of everything in the fake world turning back into crystals, with the last being the mansion itself, like Castlevania game endings. With this, I get 3 achievements in a row. 1 for beating Flandre, 1 for beating the base game, and 1 for beating the game without continues. That last one would have been a real pain in the ass if load save didn't exist in this game, which is kinda cheesy, but I don't want to restart the whole game just because I died to some bullshit. But wait, there's more. Of course, this being a Touhou game means there's an extra stage. Well, usually. I arrive at this unique Shinto gate and Nitori arrives too. This time it's the real Kappa. She informs Sakuya that an intruder not in the plan has infiltrated the fake world and is hell-bent on destroying it. So Sakuya has to go through the chaos space, find the source, and stop the fake world from being destroyed. Finally, we arrive at the extra stage with crystal caves and a lot of Japanese shrine aesthetics. Gee, I wonder who's gonna be the extra boss. I love the subtle, not so subtle foreshadowing which boss is gonna appear. One of the best examples being in the last stage, there's always these statues that look like Flandre's wings. Again, the little details. Anyways, back to the extra stage. This stage definitely deserves to be named an extra stage. It's goddamn annoying, that's for sure. There's a lot of purple enemies, stronger versions of stage 1 enemies, and of course a new rotation of enemies that include, but not limited to, I wish it was limited to, fire-breathing Koma Inus, imposter foxes that disguises as background items, Raijin, or maybe it's Fujin, I don't know which. And lastly, the worst of the bunch, this bouncing long lion dog that has a gajillion HP. Of course, the stage has a lot of obstacles that includes fire traps, my favorite. So yeah, definitely a learning curve that's steeper than Mount Thor. Safe to say, I died a few times before getting to the next boss. The next boss being a mid boss. It's the lovely Ice Fairy herself. Jojo, looking very pocket size. Apparently she got lost and somehow end up in the chaos space, and she still thinks she's still part of the game. Of course, Sakuya not wanting to back off a challenge, a boss fight ensures. Her fight starts off with throwing icicles, summoning ice spikes in the ground, throwing a snowball that freezes me, dropping snowballs that leaves these snow grass. Then she drops these ice stalagmites that I can use as platforms or cover for the next two attacks. The first being a machine gun of icicles and the second being a literal ice rain. As for her last stand, she throws a really big ice spike that goes all around the place. She's pretty easy to beat once you learn her gimmicks, which after beating her, Sakuya complimented her on being stronger than usual. She's literally giving Chirno the "stand proud, you were strong" treatment. Sadly, beating her doesn't give an achievement, but what I do get though is a power-up that makes me invincible to the fire traps, which is godsend. With this, I proceed to painstakingly go to the rest of this extra stage. The worst being this long hallway that is basically full of enemy spam. Lion dogs, Raijins, rocket launcher tanukis, and camera fairies. I'm gonna be honest, this hallway made me kind of want to pull my hair out a little bit in frustration. But I finally arrive at the extra boss, the eternal shrine maiden herself, with an ominous aura around her, probably because she's hijacking through the fake world using her OP floating powers or some shit. Whatever that dutiful shrine maiden that she is, she's hellbent on forcefully destroying the fake Gensokyo, but doing so would also affect the real Gensokyo, so Sakuya has to stop her by force. Her fight starts off fighting like a Belmont from Castlevania. Her first attack is whipping Sakuya like a 16th century slave, throwing paper charms that freezes me, spamming spicy yin-yang soccer balls straight out of Shaolin soccer, and her strongest attack, teleporting behind me and tasing my ass. As for her last stand, she rains down the spicy soccer balls. The spicy soccer balls are pretty easy graze cheesing, so if you want free healing or MP, just graze the hell out of these soccer balls. One thing to note is that using Thousand Daggers gives invincibility frames, so using that skill while she spams those balls heals back my HP and MP a lot. So that's how she was easy picking. Well, her first phase, that is. Of course, she has a second phase, where she finally goes real serious. So serious, she reverts back to her PC-98 form. Her first attack in this phase is a nice callback to the very first Touhou game, highly responsive to prayers. Back when it first started as a Galaga game. It even has the Galaga style tiles and bouncing yin-yang orbs. You know, the ones that are deadliest obstacle in the game rather than helping the player. Her other attacks are summoning these black holes that pulls me and spam the spicy yin-yang balls. Rain down these giant paper charms that cover the entire screen. Spam more of these freeze paper charms. And of course, her last stand is surrounding herself with these big balls and throw bullets everywhere. This attack actually graze heaven if I time it right. I can just spam 1,000 knives to her, which I did and finally defeated her, after which like 100 tries or something. I then got my achievement for beating her, Eternal Shrine Maiden. After selling drinks, Remy, Nitori, and Flandre comes to the scene. Flandre is still being pouty, she's left behind since this is still before her boss fight. Although in this ending, Remila confessed that this world was actually built for Flandre to go all out. It's just that Sakuya was an unwilling test subject, guinea pig, you will, or guinea dog. After making up with Flan and ignoring Reimu, the chaos space is on its last legs and is on the verge of total destruction. Then everyone flew to safety. Well, everyone except Sakuya since she still can fly. So she hijacks the robot Flandre used to get to safety. With the credits rolling and it ends with Sakuya crash landing, not being too happy being left behind, I got the achievement for beating the extra stage. But wait, there's more. There's still the cleanup achievements I got to do, so back to work I go. For the collectibles, there's the Jewel Collector achievement for destroying all these jewel statues that gives me gems galore. And Item Collector for collecting all of the items. Then collecting the rest of the weapons slash skills that I miss, which were the shield dagger that works like the arrow book and hollow cure. And the coolest one ever, the bound knife, which bounces everywhere, absolutely shredding everything in its path. And it looks so cool too. Like, I love the design of this weapon is so good. After grabbing these, I received the weapon collector achievement. At the same time, I got the Scarlet Devil Mansion Master achievement for 100%ing the map. Finally, I arrived at the hardest part, which is a real pain in the neck, the boss rush. So the boss rush, as the name implies, is fighting all of the bosses in a row while being timed, including Reimu too. There's achievements for clearing the boss rush in certain times. Those achievements being getting a B rank, getting an A rank, and lastly getting an S rank. For S rank, you need to beat boss rush modes in under fucking 6 minutes. That's right, you heard it correctly. 6 minutes to beat them all. So one of the surefire way to do this is grind the hell out of the levels and power gems, specifically diamonds, which raises attack and defense if I recall correctly, which I painstakingly did with the last room. These lion dogs gives the most EXP and diamonds. Killing these guys is pretty easy with the bound knife, and I can replenish my time and MP gauges by going to the nearby vending machine. After grinding to a level 50 and a few attempts with my trusty 1000 daggers attacks, it's time to finally end this. Sakuya, take it away.
私の世界へ。やれやれだわ。
Oh, let's go! Finally! I'm out! GG! So with that, I earned not only the B and A and S rank achievements, I also get the Bash and Go achievement for beating any boss under 10 seconds, and finally, Touhou Luna Night for unlocking all of the achievements. With that, I time stopped this journey to an end. Man, I love this game. It feels a bit on the short side, but it was a nice Metroidvania experience. If you want to play a Metroidvania game as a silver-haired time-stopping maid, then I highly recommend this game. As for me, I'm gonna head off. As per usual, thanks for watching, and if you like my stuff, do sub and like and all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!